7:29. So today was my third and final fasting day where I don't work out. I have started doing the first 3 days of a fast, and so the first two where I don't work out. And that might just be because I went through a very heavy aerobic activity portion. But from what I've kind of gathered, especially if I eat a lot during my eating weeks, the first 3 days, I don't really get to the point. It takes 3 days to actually get to that point of eating fat, right, on my body rather than just whatever's left in my system. So like, if I were to consider hunger pains, like, or anything like that, I probably had a little rumble earlier this afternoon and then it just completely died. And I haven't had anything since then, which, seeing as I haven't had any at all for the past 2 days, right? That's, my body has hit rock bottom, empty per se. So another thing I have noticed, and I think this has to do partially due to Texas weather and partially due to my body. So I mentioned before this trip, I was like, there's some bugs in my bed or there's something in the house or whatever. And I was just like, it felt like I was being eaten alive. And come to find out after a couple of rounds of this and like mentally trying to figure it out, I think it has something to do with me being sedentary inside in a cold space, and not sweating at any point. And so I figured this out by figuring out when it happened, because there would be days where I would have really bad, what they are is hives, and it gets progressively worse. From day one, I don't feel them. Day two, I don't. Or day two, I might see a little bit. Day three is when they really get up, and I start seeing them all over, specifically in the undergarment area. And that's because they're basically like a sweating issue. And it has to do with the fact, from what I've read online, I don't really agree about the cause, but either way, if I don't work out and I don't sweat, I get these hives. Fun fact. I am now at a point where if I don't exercise, if I don't go outside and sweat, my body reacts badly to it. So, from what I've read, it's supposedly a heat thing. Hopefully, because that means it's seasonal rather than something that happens year round, that again is essentially my body reacting to the fact that I'm not sweating. Understand that this is also a fairly new thing. It started a month and a half ago, and I can clearly see when it happens and when it doesn't. And it always has to happen, or it always happens when I'm non-active and I'm inside for the majority of the day, right? When I'm hiking and biking outside, even if I take a day between, like, nothing really pops up. And then, like, today, which is day 3, I could, like, feel the hives starting. And it's really weird. It's like at night. So after a couple hours, and then it's before bed, they pop up and they just cover, the undergarment area. And if they're really bad, they just start randomly popping up on your skin. I have one, just on my arm. So that I don't want that to happen. And if sweating is all I have to do, then that is what I'm going to do in order to get rid of them. Because I prefer that over taking medication, especially when I'm fasting. Note, I would, and actually did take one today because it got really bad. I'll take a antihistamine to help reduce the swelling. So either way, yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and that's a interesting thing that I've figured out over the course of past couple weeks.